Hi there.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Got a 1922 proof high relief matte finish coin.
Okay. Where did you get this?
I won it at a poker game, believe it or not.
This is like one of the holy grails of American coins, and you won it in a poker game.
Yep.
Whoa.
Came down to the pawn shop today to try to sell a 1922 proof coin. I don't know a lot about it, but the guy who lost it to me said it was really valuable, so hoping to get 20,000 out of it.
This is cool. In 1921, we brought the silver dollar back. And the story goes is they were going to try and make some really high relief ones. What this means by high relief right here is the image really comes off the coin. Okay, it's much higher detail. And I don't know the exact story, but there was like some problems and they got melted down. And most people didn't even know they existed for like 15 years. And then all of a sudden, some stories came from the mint that they actually existed. So there's like a dozen of these things in the world.
It's pretty rare.
Oh, well, it's beyond rare. The 1922 high relief peace dollar is one of the rarest coins in American history. It definitely shocks me that people will walk up to my counter and pull out an item worth $50,000 or $100,000 or more. I definitely want this thing, but I have to make absolutely sure this is the real deal. Silver dollars is what every coin collector collects. Everyone collects silver dollars, and maybe they collect half dollars and nickels, but they all buy silver dollars. I mean, that's the mainstay of collectible coins.
Oh, okay.
So, how much do you want for it?
20,000.
What, you want 20 for it? 20,000?
Do you think it's worth
Yeah,
it?
sure, no problem. Let's go. No, this is worth a lot more than 20 grand.
Oh. That's pretty awesome.
Do you mind if I call a friend to take a look at this? I have a few mega concerns here, okay? I've never seen one in person, and I just want to make sure everything's legit. I mean, if someone was to fake a coin, this is the one they would do it on. I'm actually friends with a guy who works at NGC. He's one of the best coin graders, and if everything's legit, maybe we'll do some business. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right, hang out.
All right. I think there's a good chance it's legit. Obviously, nothing in this world is 100%, but I'm happy with an expert coming in for sure.
Dave!
Rick, how you doing?
I am doing absolutely fabulous, and this is it. Oh.
Wow. It isn't every day a 1922 high relief peace dollar walks in the door.
This guy got in a poker game.
Oh my God. It's always nice to get called in on an exciting coin. This coin is particularly interesting, historical, and it's rare as hen's teeth.
Now, what exactly is the story with this coin? I mean, this was the coin the government minted, but no one knew they minted it for like 15 or 20 years?
That's correct. None of these had transacted until 1937. These were more or less unknown, and they carried over the high relief of the 1921 issues, all of which, by the way, were stuck in a one-week period at the end of 1921. Now, the high relief design was sort of a triumph of art and a failure of technology because although they were beautiful, they couldn't strike them with enough pressure to get a lot of them out. So they ended up early in 1922 having to reduce the relief of the design.
Okay.
So I assume your main concern is it real?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
It is in an NGC holder, which is wonderful. The holder is completely intact and genuine. And the coin is perfectly legitimate. It's one of very few known.
Okay, so the big thing is, what's it worth?
One of these sold very recently that brought a touch over 100,000. It's a little bit nicer than this, but not too far apart. I think this coin is worth something north of 50, but less than 100.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Super rare, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right, there you go.
All right.
All right.
I'll talk to you soon, man.
Sounds good. I'm quite excited that this is the real thing. Very few specialists have had the chance to actually handle them, but finding one of these, especially walking into a pawn shop, is really extraordinary.
I should have just gave you the 20 grand and not called in Dave.
I'm happier now.
I'll give you $65,000.
What about 90? I think 90 is fair.
You were willing to take 20 grand for it.
You weren't willing to offer me 20 grand for it.
I think 75 is fair.
Meet me in the middle at 80, and you got a deal.
It's a deal.
All right.
Okay. All right, let's go up front. I'll write you up.
I made 80,000 on the coin. Super excited about it. Definitely gonna keep playing poker. Hopefully I get another coin like this sometime.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how you doing?
What do we got? Looks like something fancy.
It's very fancy.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, it definitely looks French. That's about my extent of knowledge on this thing. Let me grab my dad real quick.
Sure.
Pops, you wanna come take a look at this for me?
What do you got?
Something's catching my eye on it. I just don't exactly know what it is.
Okay. Let's take a look. Oh, this is really fancy. Boutet or Boutet?
Boutet?
I'm not really good at pronouncing French. I'm not really good at pronouncing English.
I'm here at the pawn shop to try and sell my Boutet shotgun. I got this shotgun from my father. He was a collector of antique firearms. I'm getting rid of it now because my wife is getting tired of seeing it just mounted on the wall. It's rare, it's beautiful, and it's very, very well kept.
That's really, really nice. Boutet, he started doing this right around 1800-ish. He was like the Rembrandt of guns. I mean, before Boutet, there was the art, and then there was the function, and then this guy was like the first one to really combine the both of them. You had to be really, really wealthy to have a gun like this.
He was Napoleon's gunsmith.
Yeah, I think he was like an armorer for Napoleon. There was lots of these guns out there that were super inlaid, and they were made for royalty. But they really weren't that great of a gun because the royals were probably never going to fire it anyway. This is really fancy. That is gold inlay, or they would literally keep on pounding the gold into the steel till it's stuck. This is burled walnut, hand checkered. All these pieces down here are really high quality steel, and high quality steel like this was really expensive to make. I mean, just everything about this is just like crazy quality. And there's probably some other stuff about it I don't know.
Should I give Alex a call?
Well, how much do you want for it? Because if he wants 50 bucks, I'll just give him that now and we'll...
Oh, it's not going for $50. I'm looking at 10 grand.
Okay. Yeah, give Alex a call. I mean, it's most likely worth at least that. It could be more. I just got a lot of questions on it, and we'll go from there.
All right, I'll call Alex.
They're bringing in an expert. And I think it's a really good idea because I'm guessing at what the value of this firearm is. And I'm hoping he will up the ante, period.
What do you think?
Holy moly. Can I pick it up?
Please.
This is stunning. So Boutet was the gunsmith in France in the 18th century and into the beginning of the 19th century. He was so good that he was the royal gunsmith to Louis XVI, who was the final king before the Revolution. And not only was he his gunsmith, but Napoleon made him his gunsmith. So the guy had a long career as basically the finest gunsmith, certainly in France, but many people would argue in the world.
Okay.
Let me just see the... So it's about probably a 50 or 60 caliber, which doesn't really mean anything in shotgun terms, but for people like today, you would say this is about a 20 or 22 gauge. It's muzzle loading, it's flintlock. I'd like to just see the... Oh, yeah. So what I'm doing there is just making sure that the springs are still good, and they certainly are. Yep, and so it's a double trigger. So one trigger fires one cock, the other fires the other. So you see Boutets in some of the finest museums in the world. There's a series of Boutets at the Met in New York. They are all over Europe.
So basically what we may have here is a one-off piece by one of the best French gun makers of all time.
The best French gun maker of all time, arguably the best gun maker in history.
Okay, any idea what it's worth?
So simple Boutets will start easily about $10,000.
Okay.
One like this, on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as decorative, this is about a 6. So they get very, very decorative. The one thing I'd like to do is I'd like to test it. If it fires how I believe it would, I'd be more comfortable evaluating it.
Do you mind meeting us out at the range with it so we can test it out?
Sure.
And we'll meet you out there, okay?
See you at the range, man. Let me grab a piece of paper. I'll write down the address for you.
Awesome.
I think my wife would get really mad if I came home and said, I saw a really nice Boutet at work today.
Hello, boys.
Hey!
Fun.
So the Boutet looks all polished up and ready to go?
The Boutet is shiny, yeah. One of the things I have found in this direct sunlight is actually the barrels are also marked. So this barrel is marked Boutet, and then the other side, it's marked manufactured in Versailles, and it has a serial number 322. So that actually might be traceable, which is really nice to see on the barrels. So
All right.
that's an added bonus. I brought some shot. I've got some F black powder. We're gonna load about 50 grains, which is a pretty light load for this, but just to be safe with it. And I set up some fruit targets.
Let's do this.
This shotgun is like a piece of art. Typically, I wouldn't fire this gun, but collectors search for firearms like this. And if it's successful, I do think it'll help the value.
All right, so I think I should shoot it?
I'll shoot it.
I have waited half of my life to shoot a Boutet. Let me try it.
Alex is gonna shoot it.
Okay. All right, here we go.
There we go.
That was good.
So it fires, it works, everything's perfect on it?
It functioned exactly as it should function. And I'm not surprised, because Boutet is the finest gunmaker of all time.
What do you think it's worth?
I think if this went to auction in this condition, I wouldn't be surprised to see it sell it for $30,000.
Damn. That much?
It's really nice.
Do you see the smile on my face?
All right, well, thanks, man. I'll talk to you later.
Very welcome. And it was a pleasure, Dennis. Thank you for letting me fire it.
My pleasure.
All right. See
Nice
you guys.
meeting you.
Good luck.
Take care, bud.
All right, so you were asking 10. I'm assuming you want a little bit more now?
No, I want a lot more.
All right.
20. I think that's a pretty fair offer.
I'll give you 15 grand for it.
18.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I'll give you 16 grand for it. And normally I'd pay you a little bit more, but something like this, I'm not gonna see money back for a year or two.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on the level with you. It's a lot more than I thought I would get. We'll do 16.
All right, sweet.
All right.
All right, bring it back to the shop. We'll do some paperwork, and I'll get you paid. So, I now own a fine Boutet. Not that I haven't always had one.
It took you 50-something years to get one.
Hey, how's it going? What do we have?
We have a pottery duck from Colima, Mexico.
All right, Pops, you know anything about ducks from Colima, Mexico?
A little bit. You liked rubber duckies when you were a kid. Filled the bathtub up with them. He had a blast with them when he was like 3.
I'm at the pawn shop today to sell my old pottery duck. I got the duck from an antique shop in Scottsdale, Arizona, and ever since then, just weird things, happening around the house, and couldn't figure out what it was until everything started falling around the duck. So that's why I'm looking to sell it. I'm asking $4,000 for the duck because it looks pretty old. I mean, it does have magic powers.
I actually think it's kind of cool. It looks old. It looks like the pottery they made, like a couple thousand years ago. The indigenous people of Mexico were incredible artists when it came to pottery.
So, I mean, what do you think it was used for? Were you supposed to drink out of it or something?
It was probably something ceremonial. They truly believed that the animals, after you passed away, they would guide you to the next world. So that's why they did a lot of pottery with animals.
What religion is the duck in?
Probably an ancient religion that doesn't exist anymore.
Ever since I've had it, it's just some weird things have been happening around the house.
Well, what kind of weird stuff happens?
Well, things like fall off the shelves. I hear weird noises.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it's probably not the duck's fault.
Now, the craftsmanship's amazing. You can still see, whereas in the kiln, burn marks and everything on the bottom. So it went into a kiln like this, and it came out with those beautiful finishes on it. I mean, if you looked at this from 3 or 4 feet away, it looks like wood. I mean, that's how beautiful they did it. I think it's kind of amazing. How much are you looking to get out of this?
About 4,000.
Okay, it's got me intrigued because it could be very, very old. But it's in incredible condition, which is kind of scary. Because usually there's chipped and, you know, if it's 2,000 years old, like, you know, you have kids playing with it and everything.
Any place you go in Mexico, there's like, you know, counterfeit versions of stuff like this.
I'd like someone to look at it, if you don't mind.
I don't know.
Can you give Bob a call? I have a friend who will know a lot about this. All right?
Hang on, I'll be back in a little bit, okay?
I'm hoping the expert can value it to my asking price because I want to get rid of it.
What's up, Bob? How you doing?
Hi there, how are you? That is quite the duck. I can tell you a couple things about it. 2,000 years ago, they made animals to go into a tomb, and they'd lay the body and they'd place these animals around. All of the animals that they would put in the tomb had a function. They'd be companions, they'd be spirit guides, but most of them were to be eaten in the afterlife. A big fat duck like this was going to be somebody's dinner in the afterlife. It would have only gone to somebody fairly important. And this form, very rare. Can I take a look at it?
Yeah, go right ahead.
One of the things that I'm noticing, it's got the burnishing lines, so they would use a stone, and they would polish this extensively before it would go in the kiln. Got nice manganese blooms, but I see a repair here. I see that there are repairs in the body. They're almost invisible, so whoever restored this, they did a fabulous job.
So you think this is 100% real?
Yeah, 100% real, 300 BC to 300 AD, ancient.
So what's it worth?
It's authentic, it's old, it's rare, it's stunning. 8,000.
Okay.
You're not gonna whip out like your X-ray machine or anything on it?
I don't need to. It's got all the signs you want to see.
Well, Bob, I appreciate you coming down.
My pleasure. It's amazing to see anything that's 2,000 years old, but it was in a tomb that has been protected from the elements and the ages. So of all of the ancient cultures, Colima seemed to survive the best.
So you want 4,000 for it? Okay, I mean, I can give you 4 because it does take a long time to sell it.
Okay, awesome.
right.
Please.
You want to go write her up?
All right, luckily I'm not superstitious, so I'll meet you up over there.
All right.
And he's going to pay her in $100 bills.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How can I help you?
So I am trying to sell this leather biker jacket. I'm thinking it's from either World War I or World War II. I just don't really know much about it.
All right. Is your Harley parked out front?
Oh, yeah. I'm at the pawn shop today to try to sell my vintage leather biker jacket that I believe is from either World War I or World War II. I'm hoping to get $1,000 for this jacket, especially since vintage clothing is coming back and the jacket is in such good condition. If I make the sale today, I'll probably save some of the money, give some of it to my dad, and maybe buy him a new record player.
The jacket's really cool. So where did you get it?
I found this when I was cleaning out closets in my house. My dad has always collected vintage leather jackets, and this one was just in there.
Well, it's definitely a cool jacket. All right, let's take a look at it here. All right, we definitely got leather. It's showing some good age that leather would show as well. It's got the word Mac on the front, which maybe was a name. It has the airborne patch on it with the eagle right there. And then the other patch over here, it says Allied Airbornes. Some writing on the back. The battered bastards of Bastogne. So I definitely do agree with you. A wartime jacket, probably from the 40s or whatnot. But looking at the patches, I don't think this would have been like a motorcycle jacket. This looks like it would have been maybe like a pilot's jacket or something like that. I have some concerns though. I don't feel like the writing and the patches match up with the cut of the jacket. Looking at this jacket, it's cut more in the style of a European jacket. An American jacket would have come down more, kind of more flat. This is more typical of a European cut. How much are you looking to get for it?
I was thinking 1,000.
I mean, that's not out of the question. Honestly, if it checks out, I could probably give you more than 1,000 for sure and still leave room to make some money.
That would be great.
But I have some questions about this jacket. Can I have someone come down and take a look at it? They specialize in, military memorabilia. You have a little time to wait?
Yeah, for sure. No problem.
Give me just a few minutes. I'm gonna make a phone call and get someone down here.
Okay, no worries. My main concern is that we don't know the history behind the jacket, so it could be fake and not worth anything.
Well, here's Alex.
Hi, Alex. Nice to meet you.
He should know a lot more about this jacket than you or I.
Okay, perfect.
Wow. There's a bunch going on with this jacket. The battered bastards of Bastogne, that's referencing the Battle of the Bulge. The 326th jumped at Normandy, and the Eagle is of the 101st Airborne Division. If you're gonna have something from World War II that is referencing an American victory, it's Bastogne or Normandy, but this is both. This jacket has some really cool history. The battered bastards of Bastogne. So these guys were surrounded by the German troops, very little ammunition, very little food, no winter clothing, December and January 1944 and 45. The German commander at the time sent a letter to the American commander demanding their surrender or they were going to be annihilated, and the American commander just wrote one word back: nuts. From that point on, the German troops retreated all the way to the final end of the war. Now, you don't see anything like this often. It's actually really classic German pilot leather jacket. A Luftwaffe pilot would have had this. It's got that high crop. So the way this would have come about is an American soldier would have captured the German pilot and taken his jacket, and then essentially he made this a memento of the war.
So I know that these are faked often. What are the steps we can take to figure out if this jacket was painted wartime?
All right, so we start here and zoom in. Now, you can see here on this A and B, you see all that spidering of the paint? And you see how the leather itself has little peaks and valleys? If it were newly painted, you would see the paint inside all the little valleys and nooks and crannies. And so I am completely sure that that paint is authentic to the World War II period.
How much is it worth?
It's a one-of-a-kind piece, and it is fantastic. I would not be surprised to see this thing sell at $12,000.
Wow.
All right, well, thanks for coming down.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Yep. See you, chum.
All right, I'll give you $1,000 for it.
Well, now that we know it's worth a lot more than that, what do you think about raising the price?
As cool as it is, when you're talking about, $12,000, it's gonna take a very special person to buy this. I just don't think that it's a good fit for me right now. Put this in an auction, you'll probably get the $12,000, maybe even more, and you can come back and thank me later.
All right, well, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. I'm pleasantly surprised that the expert told me the jacket is worth $12,000. I hope to jack it up and sell it online.
What can I help you with?
I have a watch here.
Okay. Apparently it's an old watch.
I hope so.
Where did you get it?
A garage sale.
Really cool watch. Do you mind me asking what you paid for it?
$20. I came into the pawn shop today to try to sell my antique pocket watch. I'd like to sell it because I don't collect pocket watches. If I get 500, if I get 800, I'll be happy. Anything works for me.
Do you know much about it?
I don't know anything about it. I just discovered it and it looked cool. So.
Well, I can tell you a little bit about it.
That'd be great.
It's a William Ellery. That's an American watch company that later became Waltham Watch Company. Abe Lincoln actually carried a Waltham watch.
Wow.
This is absolutely amazing back here. Earl Butler Hero saved my life at Cross Keys, Robert M. Scott. That's,
Something good?
That is something good. I'm assuming that's the Civil War. The watch is probably 1870s, 1880s. Pretty easy to date them. First off, it's a key wind and a key set. By the 1890s, they were almost all going to stem winds. That would make it right around the right time period. It has to be the Civil War. You just increase the cool factor by like 10 times, okay? Because this actually belonged to a Civil War veteran.
Okay.
Okay? That was given to that person by another Civil War veteran.
Okay.
who saved his life at Cross Keys, which I'm assuming was a battle. One of the greatest gifts you could give in the 19th century was a pocket watch. Imagine someone gave this to a friend who saved his life during the Civil War. I have never seen anything like it. Do you know if it runs?
No.
It's wanting to work. It's working?
That's positive, right?
Yes, I mean, the great thing about this watch is it's in amazing shape. It works great. The case is in amazing condition. We have a porcelain dial on it that doesn't have one crack. These things are notorious for cracking. There's a huge market for Civil War stuff, and a pocket watch in this condition with engraving on the back could be worth a fortune. Collectors would line up out the door to buy this thing. I mean, this has got me really fascinated right here, though. I'd really like to find out who these people are. These could be important people from the battle.
Okay.
I'd like to find out more about the battle. I have a buddy who knows just about everything there is to know about the Civil War. If there's something special here, you might have a lot more money.
Okay.
All right?
Great.
I'll be right back.
Thanks. Since he's calling in the expert, that must mean something good. I hope so, anyway.
How you doing?
Mark, how's it going?
Doing all right. The guys normally call me down here when they've got an historical artifact.
I have this watch here, and the engraving says that it's from the Battle of Cross Keys.
The Battle of Cross Keys was an interesting one. This was early on in the Civil War, and this was Stonewall Jackson, one of the best-known generals on the southern side, and Cross Keys was one of the battles with Union forces, and the Confederates had about 5,800 men in this battle. The Union side had over 11,000 men in this battle, and the Union lost.
Were you able to find out anything about those names or anything like that?
Well, there are a number of Robert M. Scotts out there. There are a number of Earl Butlers out there. They don't show up in the historic record individually that I could find.
I mean, the watch is really cool. I mean, it seems like it's from the right time period and everything like that. Do you think it's legit?
Okay, do you mind if I take a closer look at it?
Please.
Okay. Oh, yeah. The time period would be probably the late 1880s, so the name on it and the serial number both fit. That's all good. And if you were going to fake a piece like this, you would pick a battle that everybody's heard of. You know, it'd be, thanks for saving my life at Gettysburg or something.
Yeah.
And that the engraving is all hand done. In looking at it, I think that this appears to be correct to me. I think it's a very nice memorial from the Civil War. You know, this is somebody in post-war years and said, I want to say thank you. Hopefully that helps.
Thanks, man.
Not a problem.
Thank
you very much.
What do you want for it?
2,000.
I mean, the two people on there are really not known. So, $700.
But the battle's known. 1,800.
If it didn't have that engraving on it, is literally worth $400 or $500. Let me give you $1,000 for it.
Come on, you're gonna make a profit either way. How about 15?
I just don't know what I'm gonna get out of it. I'll go 1,300, not a dime more.
13 will work.
Okay, 1,300.
All right.
I'll meet you right up front over there.
All right, thanks. Bought it for $20, and I'm walking out with $1,300. I'm ecstatic. I couldn't be happier.
Hey, how's it going? Good. How you doing? I brought you some autographed Hollywood postcards from the 1950s. We have Babe Ruth.
Whoa. The Great Gambino. It's Bambino.
Oh. The collection is over 250 vintage Hollywood autographed postcards. Some of them are hard to read. Some of them have really bad penmanship. I am hoping to get $2,500 for it today, and I think I'll take around $1,000.
Let's start here. Where did you get them?
My great-uncle was a grip in Hollywood in the 50s, and he would have them sign them and then send them to my mom, and she gave them to me.
Okay, he must have done this for a long time, judging by this day.
A good while, 1948 all the way up to 56.
This is incredible. We got John Wayne, Lucille Ball. I can understand it, you know, how he would be able to get them. An actor's less likely to say no to an autograph if they have to work and see somebody every day.
It looks like most of them were personalized. What was your mom's name?
Susan.
Susan? Okay.
Some are a little more than others. Some are just, to Susie or good luck or best wishes.
All right. God, who else do you have?
Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah, Elizabeth Taylor. Did you know she was born with some disease where she was covered from head to toe with hair? Some people are just born with this. Luckily, all hers fell out after a few weeks of being born. But could you imagine if Elizabeth Taylor was the hairiest woman on the planet?
That's Dean Martin right there.
And the list just goes on and on. Gary Cooper.
We have Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis.
Vincent Price. Lauren Bacall.
It's been a while since something left me speechless. What you have here is really, really amazing. I don't even know where to start. Normally, I get someone bringing in a signature, not this many at one time.
The thing with this collection is that there's so many of them. I don't know if some, all, or none of these are real. And if they are real, I don't know if they're worth more than the others. Without knowing a bit more, I don't know how to price this.
Before we go any further, how much do you want for them?
I was thinking $2,500 for all of them.
Okay, basically, I need to make sure your uncle wasn't just trying to impress your mom every couple months by sending her one of these.
Understandable.
You mind if I call someone in to take a look? He's probably one of the best signature experts you're gonna get.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, my man.
When it comes to celebrity autographs, this guy might have a gold mine on his hands, or it could be a huge pile of white lies from his uncle. Either way, $2,500 is a lot of money, so I'll let Steve be the judge.
Earlier, a guy came in with a huge collection of celebrity signed postcards from the 1940s and 50s. I'd never seen a collection quite like it, so I called up my buddy Steve to come down and take a look. Hopefully, he'll be able to tell me if they're legit and what they're worth.
That's like a pretty crazy assemblage here.
This guy has over 250 autographs from the 1940s and 50s.
Wow.
So far, it's everything from Babe Ruth to Marilyn Monroe.
It's pretty rare you see like a, just a whole collection like this. Obviously this wasn't gotten overnight or whatever. I mean, it's a massive stack. Tell me a little bit about the history.
My uncle was a grip in Hollywood during this time, and he would have them sign it to Susie or Susan, my mother, and then he would address to her in Brooklyn and send it to her. And that went on for about 8-10 years.
Was it just sitting like in a shoebox packed away in a closet somewhere?
It was sitting in a shoebox for as long as I can remember.
You took it out of the shoebox, you put it in these containers, and here we are today.
That's it.
Wow. I mean, I'm kind of blown away by all this.
I mean, just the fact that they're all dated.
Yeah.
That makes it great.
I mean, actually, I think that's probably the more cool thing, the dates on each one. That's pretty awesome. I mean, you could chart these things exactly to when they were signed. It's okay if I have a look through some of this? Okay. All right.
Maybe you'll be able to recognize some of them.
Do you guys know who this is?
Jimmy Stewart.
That's Jimmy Stewart.
Liberty Valance.
Yeah, It's a Wonderful Life, one of the most famous actors of all time. Do you guys know who that is?
Paul Newman.
We're talking about the dressing, Paul Newman?
Yeah, the dressing, the salsa. But the great actor Paul Newman, one of the toughest autographs to obtain in person. There's no doubt that his uncle was pretty well liked on the set to be able to approach someone like Marilyn Monroe, Babe Ruth. I mean, this guy must have been really popular. Whoa. You guys know who that is?
Marlon Brando.
I mean, this is about one of the strangest guys you're ever gonna come across and one of the best actors of all time. Back in his later years, I mean, I'm talking like 80s, 90s, if you were lucky enough to approach this guy in the street and even ask for his autograph, he used to give you a set of trivia questions you have to answer. And if you answered one wrong, didn't matter, you wouldn't get his autograph. But if you got all 5 right, he'd sign for you. But with Marlon Brando, when he signed, especially later in life, it was like instant gold. I'm seeing some great names in here. Susan Hayward, Joe DiMaggio. It's pretty amazing. I just keep pulling more and more and more. It's just an amazing assemblage. I mean, we're looking at a bunch of deceased celebrities, stuff that you're not gonna get signed anymore. And the most important thing to collectors, that's a vintage dated signature. And that's a really big deal.
So, Steve, what do you think? What do we got here?
I think you've got a pretty phenomenal collection here, if it all checks out. I don't need the Pro Scope today. I mean, I could tell, we've got real writing on this. It's all different kinds of ink. I want to be able to go through my examples, figure out what's here, figure out if anybody, by any chance, if there's a secretary signing for somebody that day.
Okay.
But the bad thing is I can't tell you right now. You guys got time today? Is that all right?
I got you, my man. Whatever you need. If you want to borrow Chumley or the conference room, whatever you need, I know it's a lot to ask. Do you mind?
No, any guess?
Okay.
Right on. You might want to grab some lunch or something, because it's going to be a minute, man.
Okay.
How you doing?
Doing good.
Good. So, what do you think?
This stuff is all no good. It was a big waste of my time to stand here and go through this stuff. I mean, that's the unfortunate part about it.
Really?
No. Actually, it's probably one of the best collections I've ever seen.
Awesome.
Yeah. I can't tell you how rare this stuff is. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Elvis Presley, but he's here too. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, Elvis Presley made an appearance in here. Great example. The guy's not an autograph guy. He didn't get him in person, so he really had no idea that someone like Elvis Presley was just sitting at the bottom of the stack. That is incredible. Frank Sinatra. Do you even know Frank Sinatra was in here?
No. No
See,
idea.
you're learning something new every day.
Yeah.
For 1954, this is at basically the height of Frank Sinatra. Babe Ruth, the great Babe Ruth. This one I really enjoyed a lot. It's dated May 3rd, 1948. You know, 3 months later, Babe Ruth was dead. The great thing about this Ruth signature is in ballpoint pen. Babe Ruth had a heavy hand, liked to sign in fountain pen. Now, I've had a chance to certify 3,000, 4,000 authentic Babe Ruth signatures in my time at PSA. I've seen maybe 10 sign a ballpoint pen. That's how rare they are.
Wow.
Well, he came in here wanting $2,500 for all of them. What do you think they're worth?
That's pretty good. But an amazing collection. When I look at the signatures in here, it's pretty crazy. We're talking Humphrey Bogart, I saw Boris Karloff, Jerry Lewis, Willie Mays. I could just keep going on and on. You're looking at anywhere from about $8,000 to $12,000.
Wow. Still on $2,500?
No.
I really appreciate it.
Of course, anytime, Mac. Usually, I am the guy who gives the bad news. So today, I gave some good news, and it felt really good.
So we found out a lot, my man. What do you want for him now?
Start at 8,000 then?
I'm gonna be really honest with you. I'm gonna get a lot of money for these when I sell them. But it's gonna take years, and it's gonna take money. As great as it is to have Babe Ruth's signature, it's really hard to sell it on a postcard in a stack. You know, it's gonna have to be displayed, put it in a frame. I mean, we're talking, it's gonna cost me $200 to $300 for each one of these I sell. You wanted $2,500. I'll give you $6 grand. You gonna take $6 grand?
Yeah, I think so. That works. I'm sure my mom will be really surprised that we got $6,000 for it. Although, I might keep it a secret.
Hey, can I help you?
Hello. Yes, actually, I have this.
All right. Are you a stamp collector?
I'm not, but they do appear to be very valuable. They're extremely old.
All right. The stamp that lost us the American colonies. Stamp of 1765 issues in accordance with the Greenville Stamp Act in the attempt to tax the American colonies. Oh, wow. I think this is a stamp in relation to the Stamp Act. Too bad my boss isn't here, because he would really want to nerd out on this right now.
I'm here to sell some old stamps that I have. They're definitely unique. I know they're not like the stamps that we use today, that's for sure. I'm asking $250 for the stamps. I feel like they're worth some value because of how old they are.
This is pretty cool. I mean, basically what the Stamp Act was is the British Parliament deciding that all British citizens need to pay a paper tax, whether they lived on this continent or in Britain. So they imposed this Stamp Act of 1765. And if you lived on this continent at the time, it wasn't America. Everyone was from England. So you still had to pay that tax. And this little stamp right here had to be on every single piece of paper, if I remember correctly. Otherwise, there was some type of legal consequence.
Oh, wow. It says America on it, too, actually, on here.
American colonies, yeah. We weren't quite America yet. This is right before, you know, we fought the Revolutionary War to become free. They're pretty interesting. They almost look embossed. They kind of look royal, you know? It kind of looks like something the British Parliament would make. It's these deep blue colors. How much are you looking to get for it?
I'm thinking probably like $250.
Well, normally I'd just go get my boss, but he's not gonna be back for a few hours. If you have a few minutes to hang out, though, I can call my buddy, and he knows the value of all this kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a couple minutes.
It could be worth a lot of money.
I'd like to hear what the expert has to say because I'm confident they're valuable, but I'm not exactly sure how much. I'm just taking a wild guess on this.
So, this is what I called you about? I thought it was pretty interesting, but Rick wasn't around, and I figured even if he was, he'd call you down anyways.
He would love this. Yes, you're right. These are really, really interesting. This is something that a collector has put together who collected British revenue stamps. These ones up here are from the 1694 series, which was for general use by the British. However, this one here appears as a stamp issued by the British in line with the Stamp Act. Well, the Stamp Act was a way for the British Crown to raise money in the colonies in America. Remember, they had just come out of fighting the French and Indian War. They emerged victorious, but it was very expensive, and they wanted to recoup some of that money. So they came up with a Stamp Act, which specifically targeted the Americas. It mainly affected items on paper, although it also affected dice. I mean, who knew?
No gambling without a tax.
Exactly. I'll make sure it says America. The British issued all sorts of revenue stamps in the 18th century. If it says America, we're in business. Yes, it does. Yeah, this one says America. This is wonderful. So this is an important stamp.
Seems like there'd be a lot of these if you had to stamp it on every piece of paper.
You would think it was a relatively short-lived act. It was introduced in 1765 and just a few months later repealed. So there wasn't a lot of opportunity for their use.
What kind of value would you put on it?
Well, the basal value is about $400 or $500 if you're buying it in a stamp auction. But this also has some other stamps. I think to any advanced collector, it's easily a $1,000 item.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, appreciate it.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Looks like someone's happy with what they heard.
Yeah, I had no idea. I'm working with 1,000 now. How does that sound to you?
It sounds like a little too much to me. Would you take $450?
$450. That, I think maybe if it was just these, but...
What are you thinking?
Well, I don't want to sell them for half what they're worth, so how about $650?
You think you could do 600?
I don't think so. That's a little too low. That's almost selling them for half what they're worth.
$250 to $650, huh?
I could just take them back with me.
I really want to show them to my boss, so I'm gonna make a deal. $650.
$650.
All right. Meet me right up here at the counter.
Okay.
I'll take these.
I'm leaving here with $650 for those stamps, and that's more than I was looking for, and that's awesome.
How's it going?
Good. How can I help you?
I actually think I can help you. I have what I'm hoping is a very, very old, very rare coin.
Cool.
I figured I'd come in and see if it's worth what I think it's worth, which is a substantial amount.
Okay. It sounds like you're in the sales business.
I actually know very little about the coin. I got it from a family member who purchased it at an auction about 30 years ago. The little bit of research that I did, the value is very extensive, so I'm kind of shooting for about 20 grand. I don't think it's unreasonable for me to ask for that.
Okay. I mean, this is really, really cool. How'd you get it?
From my understanding, it was purchased in auction 30 years ago. I got it in a will.
Okay. It's a little weird. I can guarantee you it's from the Eastern Mediterranean.
Okay.
And there's literally hundreds, if not over 1,000 coins like this. They're all from different city-states, different countries, Egypt, Greece, Sicily. You know, they put their own faces on it and everything else like that. But basically the same amount of silver, same weight. So it made trade really easy between those cities.
Right, that makes sense.
And that's one of the parts that gets confusing with these coins is dating them and figuring out which city it came from. There's tons of little ones, but the big ones like this, there's not a whole lot of them. What you have here can be worth a lot of money. These things go from anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000.
I could live with that.
But there's 500 fakes for every real one. A couple thousand years ago, cities were making their own coins. And most large coins like this didn't survive. When that city was conquered, they'd usually take all those coins, melt them down, and make their own coins. If this thing is real, I imagine it's pretty rare and could be worth a big chunk of change. How much do you want for it?
Completely honest, was hoping about 20 grand.
Okay.
And like you said, between 10 and 100, so I figure right now we're at the low end. I could probably go higher.
you know, my big concerns is like, it's in really good shape.
No, absolutely.
Okay, it's struck really well. Most of these coins, the figure on the front and these figures on the back are way off center because they had the coin dies and they put a silver slug in them and they stood back 5 feet with a 5-foot long hammer. And then they had to strike them a few times.
Okay.
So generally when it's too good to be true, I mean, there's a chance this could be real, but I'm assuming it's fake.
I firmly believe this one's real.
Okay.
Like, the person who had it actually was an avid collector, so I don't believe he would have had it if it was fake.
So do you have any paperwork with it?
I do not know, not personally.
Let me have someone take a look at it. I have a friend of mine who this is basically what he deals with, is ancient coins, and you need a guy much nerdier than I am to tell you everything about it.
I think you're doing pretty good as far as being a nerd, but if you want to bring in a better one, great.
Just give me 5 minutes. I'm going to someone
Sure,
call.
no problem. Thank you. He's calling in an expert, which is only going to help my team. Like, I know this thing's real. I have a feeling that he's going to be pleasantly surprised.
This is the deal. Is it real?
Wow. The Syracuse Dekadrachm.
I just know there's like 500 fakes of these for every real one.
The Dekadrachms of Syracuse are among the most sought after of all ancient coins. So if this is real, this is a home run.
What year?
400 to 360 BC, right in that range. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a chariot scene, crowning the victorious charioteer.
So who's the person on the front?
This lady is Arethusa, a water nymph. You know, fresh water was very important to the ancients, and they revered it, and they had nymphs that represented it.
Only he would know this. Sorry.
You brought in a legit nerd, yes.
Yeah.
So is it real?
Let me take a look. If it's real, it's worth a pretty penny. Okay, I have news. It's absolutely genuine. Absolutely genuine.
That's awesome.
Okay. All the features line up. It has great metal quality. The strike is excellent. And cast counterfeits have a soapy look to them. On this coin, everything was razor sharp.
How much money we got here?
This one looks to me like a solid $50,000.
Wow.
Almost right on the mark.
I might hug you.
Yeah. In that case, it's fake. Yeah.
All right. You're the best, man.
All right, man. I know Rick loves these coins, and usually they're counterfeit. This one happens to be genuine, so if you can pick it up at the right price, I think it's a good purchase.
He set the price, so go ahead. That's fine.
No, I mean, that's what I can get out of it.
Right.
I'll give you 35 grand for it. Which is more than you were looking to get for earlier.
But then I'm leaving like that.
You're not leaving anything on the table. You know who's going to buy it for more?
Not personally, but...
Maybe 1 out of 1,000 people will spend $50,000 on a collectible something or the other.
I mean, 50,000 down to 35. I just believe that we can meet in the middle somewhere.
But you're in at nothing.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. But still, that's not, I mean...
Auctions cost money.
Right.
They're real creative with the fees. I mean, they're worse than banks. I'll tell you what, I'll give you 40 grand. Anything more than that makes 0 sense for me, and that's what you can get.
Okay. $40,000's fair.
Okay, all right, cool, man, this is great.
Do I get one of those big checks?
No.
Although I could do the responsible thing and put the $40,000 towards college funds for the kids. Maybe we'll take a family vacation. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of fun.
Hey, a rifle, huh?
Well, check it out.
Oh, it's not a rifle. That's a sword.
Yeah, sir. What I have is a very old sword. I got this from my grandfather. He recently passed away. He willed it to me. I don't know much about this sword, just that it's worth a lot of money. I'm hoping to get 40,000 from it. I really don't have much use for it, and I really don't think he would mind if I used it for a little bit of personal gain.
It looks pretty cool. Do you know what it is?
I'm actually not too sure. I know my grandfather got it at an auction. I just know that it's valuable. That's pretty much it, so.
At first glance, it's amazing. It's very ornate. It's got some very cool detail, like the head of Medusa, what looks like a lion right here, a date of 1810 on it with some Russian writing. Let's take it out here. Ooh, that's nice.
Careful, it is sharp.
Yeah. That's really weird right there. That's Arabic writing. I'm kind of puzzled here. I mean, it's got Arabic on the blade, it's got Russian writing right here. It's dressed up really nice and fancy, almost like a dress piece, you know what I mean? I'm just kind of at a loss here. What are you looking to do with it?
I'm looking to sell it.
And how much are you looking to get?
Well, I was looking for 40,000.
40,000 seems like a stretch to me. Do you know how much Grandpa paid for it?
Actually, don't. My uncle was telling me, though, that he did pay a pretty penny for it.
Well, this blade is so nice, and the sword is so ornate. It's too much going on here for me to decipher. I'd like to have someone come in and take a look at it, especially if you're asking money like $40,000.
Of course,
I
yeah.
mean,
I understand.
all right, let me get my guy Alex down here, and hopefully he knows something about this sword, at least more than you or I.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, give me a few minutes. I'll be right back.
Great. I'm very happy that an expert's coming in to take a look at it. I think that it would help me out knowing its value and kind of knowing a little more of the history. So even if I don't sell it today, it would help me out in the future.
It's not the Holy Grail, but this thing is pretty mysterious.
Wow, I know this sword.
At least one of us does.
Well, this is actually, it's like a historically significant sword.
Really?
Do you mind if I touch it?
Go for it, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yep. So this sword belonged to a Russian prince. That name, Ivan Ivanovich Odevsky. He was a Hussar, and he was killed at the Battle of Brienne in France in January 1814 by Napoleon's troops.
Wow.
He was a war hero, and this guy gets killed with this sword on him.
Whoa.
So...
That's what I was confused about. It has an Arabic mark on the blade.
Yeah, this Arabic writing means it came out of Persia, which wouldn't be uncommon for this. So this was built with the intention of being like a head of state sword, because this is about the finest blade you could put on it. And I mean, this thing is massive, and you can hold it and feel like...
It's got some weight to it.
Yeah, and it's well balanced. So
It'll definitely take an arm off. That's
this
for sure.
was not just a ceremonial sword. This was also a battle sword.
But it does have a ceremonial feel to it,
Oh,
right?
you're completely right. It's about as fancy as they come. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, it's really second to none.
I've never seen you speechless.
It's just, you know, you hear about these things, you never really think you're gonna like walk in and see it.
What kind of value do you think this has?
So here's the thing. This sword sold at auction for $30,000. And frankly, the sword undersold. Now, the funny thing about the auction is it wasn't the right auction to put it in. And so the collecting community didn't actually know that this was out there until after it was sold. If you take it to auction today and get it in front of the right buyers, I would imagine you're talking 75, 100,000.
Well, I think that's all I need to hear.
All right,
Thanks
that was
for
a
coming
lot.
down.
Thank you for letting me see it.
Of course, yeah.
All right. It's a lot to take in.
Mm-hmm, it is.
So, for me to be in this sword anywhere comfortable, I'd buy it for 20,000.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah.
The problem is, it's too big of a risk for me.
Right.
I'd love to offer you 50,000 for this sword, possibly even more, but it's already sold once in an open market, and it didn't come anywhere close to the reserve it was expecting.
Right.
So it's just a dangerous territory for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that, especially after what he just said.
I don't blame you, man.
Now that makes me think that I should find the right auction for it.
All right, well, thanks for coming in.
Listen, I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You too, thank you. After knowing the actual value on this sword, kind of glad I didn't sell it, and I think now I'm going to try to find the proper auction, and hopefully I can put it in front of the right people to get a better price for it.
How's it going?
Hello, how are you?
What do we got here?
This is a Marc Chagall print that I have for you.
Okay. Do you know who Marc Chagall was?
Sort of.
Very famous painter. He's a post-impressionist. You know the difference between like impressionism and post-impressionism?
Not really.
The easiest way I always explain it to people is impressionism, blurry. Post-impressionism, really blurry.
I came to the pawn shop today to sell my Marc Chagall print. I'm looking to get $1,000 for my Marc Chagall print, and I don't think I'll be willing to go any lower than that. If I sell the Chagall print today, I'll probably pay some bills.
I think this is really, really neat. Where'd you get it?
So I have a wealthy aunt, and she gave it to me, but it really just doesn't go with the decor of my house.
All right. There's probably like 24 artists in the world where you just look at their art and go, okay, that's Picasso, or Picasso-esque,
Right.
or Renoir. Chagall is one of those people. Marc Chagall, 500 years from now, they'll still be talking about his paintings and they'll still be worth money.
Cool.
He lived a long time. He lived into his 90s, I think it was.
Wow.
This guy was hanging out in Paris with like Renoir and Picasso and all those guys back at like the turn of the century. I mean, just like there was all these new artists popping up everywhere and these new styles of painting. If you ever get a chance to go to Paris,
Okay.
go to the Paris Opera House. He painted the entire ceiling.
Oh, wow.
And it looks like a lithograph. Litho means stone and graph means writing.
Okay.
So it's stone writing. So originally what it was is they would take stones, I mean, a big giant piece of limestone, completely flat, and they would etch into it the image.
Oh, wow.
Okay, one for each color. So on each impression, you would carve in what would be blue. You would ink the stone.
Put the paper on top.
Then put like a 2,000-pound stone on top of it and press the ink into the paper, and then move on to the next stone for the next color, and then the next.
That's quite the process.
Yes, and over the years, they've changed that process, made it a lot simpler, but that's basically lithography.
Okay.
So how much you want for it?
I don't, maybe around $1,000 or so?
Did you get any paperwork on it?
I don't have any paperwork with it.
Okay, so we'll call it Marc Chagall-esque until we make sure it's.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, give me a minute or two. Let me get someone down here to take a look at it so we can figure out exactly what it is.
Sounds
okay?
great.
I'll be right back. Tried to be an artist, but sausage fingers, I barely hold a brush. So it looks Chagall.
That is an image by Chagall. So Chagall discovered lithography after he was already very, very famous. He started doing lithography at the age of 63. But the person he learned it with was the absolute master, Merlot. Chagall brought his skills as a painter and as a colorist to this medium, and he changed the standards of all lithography. This is Captain Bryaxis' dream. In fact, it's one of his most famous images. It's rumored he literally just slept on the floor of the print shop during the production of this particular work to ensure his colors, because the color was really the key to Chagall. That's the thing that set him apart.
With Chagall, usually I see like images and a white background.
Yeah, it's very dark, but this particular image is from a work called Daphnis and Chloe. It's a 2nd century Greek poem. This was put out as a illustrated book. If you look very closely, you're gonna see a bit of a crease here. And that's because this is a double panel work. So it's a little more valuable, and it's the only double panel that was in the overall set.
Okay, so the big question, what's it worth?
If this was in a gallery in San Francisco, New York, it's worth at least $8,000.
Awesome. Okay.
All right, sweet, dude.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, good luck to you guys.
So you still want $1,000?
No, obviously. I'd like a little bit more than that now.
I understand that. I'll tell you what, I'll give you $3 grand for it.
Well, that's kind of low. He just said it was 8.
That's in a nice gallery in New York or San Francisco where they have really high markups.
Got a nice establishment
what is your
here.
best price on it?
Lowest, 6,000.
I'll give you $4 grand.
5.
I'll give you $4,500, not a penny more.
I'll take 45. Deal.
Okay. I'll meet you right over there and do some paperwork.
Cool. Thank you very much.
This is what happens when you call it an expert. You pay more money. What can I help you with?
I have this signed picture.
Benjamin Harrison. Hey, Corey. It's like your great-great-uncle twice removed from your second cousin.
Do you really believe we're actually related to that guy?
Grandpa says we were.
I've met your grandfather, and he was a liar.
It was given to my dad when he was a young child, so it's been in a box for about 70 years. My parents just celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary, and I would like to send them on a trip if possible. I'm really hopeful that this is going to be my lucky day.
You know your grandfather's middle name is Benjamin, and your great-grandfather's middle name was Benjamin. They were named after him, I believe.
Whatever.
You see any resemblance?
I do.
Yeah, he's bald and he's got a gray beard.
All in all, a pretty good president. He passed the Sherman antitrust law to try and beat up the monopolies, but it was another 20 years later with Teddy Roosevelt who really started cleaning up the trusts. Where did you get it?
Well, we had it in our family for about 70 years. It was part of a photo album, and this one was signed.
Okay, this is a cabinet card. They were pretty popular from like the late 1860s to right around 1900. So a lot of people had the picture of the president in their house. How much do you want for it?
500.
I doubt if that's a signature. I'm just assuming it's someone just wrote it on there so they know who it was.
I mean, that looks like a signature.
Well, remember, they didn't print anything. Everything was written. I'll call somebody down here, but if it's not a signature, it's worth like 10 bucks. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Most cabinet cards aren't worth the paper they're printed on. So normally, this would be a pass. But a cabinet card actually signed by a president, now that's a different story. And not just because, supposedly, I'm related to this guy. Benjamin Harrison.
Our 23rd president.
According to my grandma, he's a relative of mine.
They look identical, don't they?
No comment. This size of photograph is known as a cabinet card because it was large enough that you put in your cabinet, and if you're sitting on your sofa in your parlor, somebody could see it without squinting. Cabinet cards today are actually relatively common. I've gone to book and photography shows where some dealers have binders and binders. They can be of people, they can be of scenes, and they do remain relatively durable.
Is that his signature?
Okay, well, there are two questions I have to answer first. Sometimes when these were printed up, the signature of the person was printed on at the same time. So I have to make sure that this is actually signed in ink. So I'm just gonna look through here. Yes, and it does appear to be signed in ink. It's not a printed on signature. Now, the second question is it actually the signature of President Benjamin Harrison? And I brought along some examples here. And there are a few things I look for with the Benjamin Harrison. First, there's about a 30-degree slant on a signature. So I'm gonna come over here and look. And the slant is about 30 degrees to the right, which is the way it is here. He usually signed B-E-N-J and then Harrison in full afterwards. And he has this funny little blip in the middle of the B. Now, if you look carefully, you see that little blip in the B, which is similar to right over here.
What do you think?
Well, after looking at it, Rick, I do believe this was signed by President Benjamin Harrison himself.
Oh, wow.
Okay, sweet.
Oh, wow, that's great.
So what do you think it's worth?
Well, there is one little condition with this. So if you see along here, there are all those extra lines. I don't think this is a first-generation photograph. In a first-generation photograph, the lines are very, very sharp. What some photographers did is they would take photographs of previous photographs and keep reproducing it that way. This is probably second or third generation, which makes it worth a little bit less. I do think a fair retail price for this would probably be about $1,250.
Wow. I didn't think it would be worth that much. That's great.
Yeah, people who collect presidents and presidential signed photographs would have an interest in it. They're not common items by any stretch of the imagination. It's a nice little piece of American history here.
Yeah, it really is. Wow.
Hey, thanks for coming in, man.
Anytime, Rick.
Appreciate
nice
it,
to see
man.
you again, Corey. Good luck with
Thank
it.
you. So,
So $500, no problem.
can you go a little bit higher?
I'll give you like $700 for it. That's the best I could do on it.
Really? Could you do 8?
Really? You just wanted 5, and now I'm offering you 7.
Right.
I have to frame it up. I have to do some other things.
Could you do 750?
I guess we really shouldn't have called Stewart in, huh?
Yeah, yeah, I'll give you the 750.
It's a deal. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, you want to write her up, son?
Come with me.
I feel that we settled on a really good price of $750. I feel that that was a fair price. It's all about the Benjamins.